Well, last season we left the Borgias as Cesare and Pope Alexander were having a very deep conversation. Cesare had just killed his brother Juan, and admitted to the crime to his father, and just as the father is about to forgive him, well, I believe that's what he was going to say. He gets poisoned. So I think what Cesare's been looking for all this time must have been really frustrating, because he finally thinks it's going to happen, and then he kind of tells Cesare that he can't blame him because he basically made him who he is. Well, he definitely participated in creating that monster. When season 3 starts, we pick it up right after, on the same evening, as Pope Alexander appears pretty much dead, and there's a huge panic, and Lucrezia appears to have the skills to try something on him, and then try to get the poison out of the body. She makes this charcoal and water mixture that we all shove down his throat, and I think shortly after, Cesare understands that there might be a link between that young poisoner and Cardinal della Rovere. So Cesare and Micheletto go after him, basically, and well, the thing is, what I think and what Cesare thinks are two different things. I think that Cesare believes that if his father dies, he will probably continue, ruling and eventually become a warrior. In reality, papacy is nothing like a kingship. So they'd be probably out in the streets again, and there would be dozens of people wanting revenge. So it would be pretty scary if Pope Alexander died on that night. I found, well, pretty much everybody. That's the thing. It's just that what we see in episode 1 of season 3 is that Cardinal della Rovere succeeded in poisoning the Pope, but there were lots of other plots to kill him and to kill our family. So I think as we realize all that, as Cesare realizes all that, he basically understands for the first time that he cannot trust anyone, and he can't even trust his father anymore, because he's half dead and weak and too old. And Lucrezia's a girl. The mom doesn't really have any power. It's basically Cesare and Micheletto. Cesare and Micheletto are basically the only people who can defend this family. Okay, so Caterina Sforza is basically the main antagonist in season 3. Caterina Sforza, the families she manages to unite against the Borgias, and her own Micheletto, if I can call him that, Rufio, who's a new character who is a professional assassin, totally different from Micheletto, but who kind of kills in the shadows as well. Well, obviously, what we're doing when we're making a series like the Borgias is to not only show the awful acts that the people like the Borgias committed, but also try to understand why and what brings them to that. And I think that from what we've seen of Cesare in the previous seasons, losing his first love, sister Martha, Ursula, killing people, feeling forced to kill people for the first time, killing his own brother because he was too big a threat for the family and for Lucrezia. I think we kind of understand. I understand the path that he's on, and yes, you do see him go to a darker place. I think even at the end of the previous even at the end of season 2, you see Cesare is kind of shutting down as an emotional person anyway. So he's not entirely cold-hearted, because obviously his love for Lucrezia remains pretty much intact, or even grows. But he understands his responsibilities, I think, as head of the family, because I think that's how he sees himself now. Well, I think Cesare pretty much missed his opportunity of being completely forgiven when the Pope was poisoned. But will Cesare get what he's always wanted, which is to become chief of the papal armies? Not yet. I mean, maybe. I'm not even entirely sure that when Cesare killed Juan, he thought that it would actually solve all of his problems. I mean, it's a solution, but it's also another problem, killing your own brother and facing your father about it. Well, they do more and more. Cesare and Pope Alexander start butting heads more and more throughout season 3, because the Pope is still hiding something. He must have a reason why he doesn't want Cesare to be chief of the papal armies, but he doesn't tell him that, and Cesare just doesn't understand. And Cesare is scared for his father, for himself, and for the family. And I think at one point during season 3, he decides to stop waiting, and goes to France, and decides to bring back his own army, the French army, but under his commandment. I think Cesare is starting to think that he would be the best leader for this family. And it's not his father anymore. His father's either too old, tired, delusional, and Cesare becomes his own man, and is tired of asking his father to become the chief of the papal armies, so he builds his own army. Caterina Sforza is now putting pressure on all the young sons of important families to join her in her battle against the Borgias. So that forces Cesare to maybe try to convince them to join him instead.